Alright guys, so we're going to continue on the Impala build, and we like to use the PSI wiring harness. So I called the guys up there at PSI, told them exactly what I'm working with, and they sent us this here. So we've got the new E38 computer style, because this is the 58 tooth reluctor wheel LS motor. So this is how it's going to come, full detailed instructions, and a nice clean bag here full of standalone wiring harness. So I'll go ahead and unbag this now, and we'll lay it out and just show you a standalone harness. Alright guys, I know when this thing comes out of the bag, it looks super overwhelming. Do not let this thing overwhelm you. PSI has done all the hard work for you. This thing will lay itself out. You make the connections, hook up a couple of wires, and you'll have your LS running in no time. So let's go ahead and show you how it lays out on the LS motor, and we'll go over a couple of things that they're going to ask you during your ordering that you just want to be very clear on when you place the order. So let's go ahead and lay this out. All right, here we go. So don't let all this scare you. Like I said, PSI has done all the hard work for you. So the biggest thing you got to realize when this harness lays itself out is what side is bank 1, what side is bank 2. Bank 1 is going to be your driver's side. And how you can tell on this wiring harness is bank 1 will always have mass airflow sensor and the cooling temp sensor and the alternator plug on it. So we'll just lay that one over there. Bank 2 will always have the electronic throttle body connection on it. So it's real simple. Once it lays out, then you just start plugging things in and work your way down. So, you know, just start plugging the injectors in. The injectors are going to be 2 clicks. So you go 1, and then the safety clip will be 2. So we go 1, 2, go. So that's injector 2, injector 4, and they're pretty much self-explanatory. You can't, you know, you'd have to pull the harness there to get that one in. So they pretty much lay themselves out where they need to go. Don't try and over confuse it. So there, the injectors are done. Last thing is the coil pack. The coil packs, we're running a different wiring harness for our coil packs to make it look cleaner, and I'll clean this whole wiring harness up when I'm done. So we'll plug in bank 2 coils. Okay, the last connection on bank 2 is the MAP sensor, the manifold pressure sensor. When you order your harness, they're going to ask you if it's a Delphi or if it's a Bosch. We have the wrong sensor in here, so we won't connect this right now, but this just plugs in here. I'll show you what the other sensor looks like. So this is the Bosch, and so it would plug in right here, and it's located right here. I just need to switch those. So we'll just leave that there for demonstration. So there we go. Bank 2 upside of the engine is done. Go over here to bank 1, and again, just lay this in here, and as you see, the injector harness pretty much falls where it needs to go. You can't try and stick the number 7 injector wire in there, because then they would all line up wrong. So you lay it on there, it lays itself out. PSI has done a great job at making this very simple plug and play. So we're demonstrating that for you right now. Injectors are done. Bank 1 coil pack, done. Boom, that's all done. Now, we don't have the air boot set up on this with the mass airflow sensor in here yet, but that's what this pigtail's for. So you're gonna, we would run a blade style LS3 mass airflow sensor in our air intake. That's where that would plug in. So now we got our 2-wire alternator. This right here would plug right into the 2-wire alternator. There's 2 more plugs on this thing. We have the coolant temp sensor, and then we have, this just plugs right into the factory coolant temp sensor. And then this will go run down, and we'll put it, plugs in right by the crankshaft dampener. This is for your cam position sensor. Okay, so the top part of the engine is done now. That's what I'm telling you, how simple they've made it for us. All right guys, so now we're gonna do the back of the engine and then move our way to what's gonna go inside the car. PSI has done, again, all the hard work. So as you can see in my oil pressure sending unit, the factory one is broken from removal. So normally that PSI provides you with this plugs into your oil pressure sending unit. We're just gonna put that one there for demonstration purposes. Next, on the driver's side, bank 1, PSI provides 2 ground lugs that you want to ground to your cylinder head. I like to put a star washer here and then use a factory bolt, and like I said, we're just going to loosely put these here for demonstration. Make sure you have a good ground on your engine, because you're grounding here now for the computer and for the sensors. So you want to make sure you have a nice ground strap from your engine to your battery or to your frame. Do not rely on the rubber motor mounts or transmission mounts to provide you a ground. Next connection is your oxygen sensor. This is your bank 1 oxygen sensor. I don't have exhaust on this vehicle, so my exhaust guy will weld in a bun. We'll put the O2 sensor there. They're not provided in the kit, but you can call PSI. They'll provide you with a part number, or they will sell you a set. Last sensor for this side is going to be the NOx sensor. The NOx sensors are always these white connectors from PSI, and there's a left and right there, which is bank 1, bank 2 NOx sensors. They are located on the block right above the oil pan. So we'll go ahead and plug this one in right now. Bank 1 is all done. Now we can move to bank 2 and we'll finish that side up, and then lastly I will show you what's left to do inside the car. Alright, so we're going to leave the O2 sensor for bank 2 sitting there for the exhaust shop. What we have left is we have the crank positioning sensor, which is located behind the starter, and then again the bank 2 with NOx sensor, which is white, and then these two will go to the positive lug of the starter. Of course, we don't have the starter in here, so we're not going to hook these two up at this time, but just to be clear, these two would go to the same lug of the starter that your battery cable from your starter is going to. So we'll go ahead and hook these up now again. Crankshaft sensor right behind the starter. NOx sensor, same as bank 1 over there, just bolted to the block right kind of above the oil pan there in the middle of the engine. Alright, and then like I said, we're not going to hook these up because we don't have a starter in right now, and again, this is not all nicely ran like we normally do because A, it's out of the car, and B, it's just demonstration purposes. Alright guys, you're almost done with this LS swap. Okay, so they give you a nice new relay pack, fuse box, terminals for the fuel pump and cooling fan, data link connector so you can plug in a scan tool, so you can take this thing to any shop. They can pull codes for you. These 2 big connections are for your E38 ECM, and PSI is nice. They give you a nice 2-inch grommet here for passing through the firewall. So usually what I like to do is I drill my 2-inch hole, I slide all the engine bay through the car firewall, and then I start from inside the car, but we're just doing all this again for demonstration purposes. So again, plug those 2 into your factory ECM. So those 2 are done. Then you can mount this data link scan tool connector underneath the dash, in the glove box, whatever works for you. This fuse box I recommend close to wherever your other fuse boxes are, so they're easy to find, easy to locate. And then what we got here is, this is your electronic throttle for your pedal. So that gets plugged in. So really all we have left is 5 wires, guys. This red wire here is for your ignition. So this will go and get plugged into the ignition. Okay, so after your ignition there, we have now these last couple wires, and these you don't have to hook up if you're running a different module. You could run from Dakota Digital Gauges. They sell an OBD2 module if you want to go for super simplicity. It's about $100. It will plug right into your OBD2 port, and it'll give you all the signals you need for your coolant temp sensor, for your oil pressure, your mill light, everything. So if you're not, PSI also provides you with it. And so the white wire here is going to go to your tachometer. So that's the white wire. The black wire here goes to your speedometer signal output. And then your green wire here, the dark green, is going to go to your fan control speed output. This is for your cooling fan. Okay, do not hook this directly to your cooling fan. It needs to go to a relay. It cannot support to try and run the fan by itself. It is a trigger wire for fan. In the PSI instructions, it goes through detailed instructions on how to hook it to a relay, but do not hook this to your fan directly. Okay, now we'll go to your orange wire, or excuse me, we'll go to dark blue just because dark blue is fan number 2. So you got fan number 1. If it starts to get hotter, you got fan number 2 and or optional AC fan. Okay, now we have your orange wire. This is for a clutch position or neutral safety position. Most cars, you're not going to hook that up. So now you have purple. Purple wire is your brake signal. You got your brown wire. This would go to a check engine light. Okay. So this is for the 12 volt little mill light, check engine light, whatever you need. There's 2 more connections that are probably the most difficult to navigate through is these last 2 that PSI gives you the connections for right here, but you actually got to put it in the fuse box or the relay harness here. All right, the last 2 connections are the hardest ones I think that PSI sends you. They give you the 2 terminals here. They want you to put them, crimp your wires on there, and they want you to put them in 87 and terminal 30 of this relay socket. They give you very detailed instructions on where and what they want you to do, but like I said, it would have been nice if they give you like a pigtail or something, but they've done a really good job with everything else. So again, 2 wires, one's going to go to your fuel pump, and then the other wire is going to go to a constant 12 volts. They give you the terminals here. They just figured you probably already have it ran in your factory car harness or whatnot, but those are the 2 last connections you need to do. The most difficult ones, I think, in this kit, which still, it's nothing to do. It's super simple. You can install one of these wiring harnesses in about 45 minutes to an hour. As you can see, we did one here in about 25 minutes. Yes, it's outside the car. All right, guys, just a quick recap. I hope you guys liked the video of the LS standalone harness install from PSI. I just want to say again, PSI does really good detailed instructions on how to install it. We've been doing a lot of LS conversions, so we're really familiar with them, but we've used a lot of kits, and we'll say that PSI is a trouble-free kit, very user-friendly. So again, just want to say thanks again to PSI, and please check back. We're going to clean the harness up. Not just as far as zip tying it all up, getting it all tight, all the wires tucked away. We'll get this frame back underneath the Impala, and then we'll do another video of our first startup and everything else. So please keep watching and stay tuned.